When it comes to the character Asta, he's always been a curious case. Dropped off at a tiny little church in the corner of Hodge Village with no parents to call his own and no indication that he had any family whatsoever, his predicament was one that always broke my heart as a reader. In a world where magic and status mean pretty much everything, Asta had neither. He couldn't use magic. He was a poor peasant who, even after becoming a magic knight, was still looked down upon those with a higher status than him. However, despite all of this, we saw Asta overcome those very obstacles time and time again. That being said, he no longer does so alone, and it's more than just having his squad mates in the Black Bulls. He now also has his brother Libe, the lesser devil who Asta's mother took in and raised as her own child. It's poetic, and the two sons of Asta's mother, one by fate and one by birth, are working now hand in hand, fighting against the devils of the Spade Kingdom. However, once we got the news about Asta's mother, the next question became, who was Asta's father? It was a natural question for people to ask who Asta's father was, and the new character in Black Clover, Alan, who we see in Black Clover chapter 306, has brought that question up in the conversation once more. Now, I'll say this right now. I didn't think Alan was Asta's father at first for quite a few reasons, but I'm also not ruling it out either. It's not that crazy to think that we get the reveal of both of Asta's parents during the same arc. It's been done in other shonen as well, so I'm not going to put this past Tabata for this. However, I do see a few issues with this idea. Alan looks way too much like Asta's mother. While it could be a situation where they are distantly related and married, something that isn't that uncommon for this time period that Black Clover is inspired by, it is something that I would think that Black Clover's author would at least spice things up just a tad little bit before doing. The reason being is that the designs are so similar that it makes you wonder, is this Tabata drawing the manga, or is this Hiro Mashima drawing the manga, reusing old designs but making small changes, that way it's not the same character. While we could be in a situation like this, I'm kind of leaning towards saying maybe, just maybe, Tabata's not doing this. Now, I know that we've seen people like Gordon whose entire family looks like him, but I've always took things like that as being more of a joke. We see it with Noelle and her family. There are a lot of similarities, and Noelle looks a lot like her mother. The design changes are subtle enough that you can see that they are different characters. However, that's what makes it so interesting. Alan and Asta do have some of those same subtle design changes, much like Noelle and her mother. So I can see why people have made that connection. Personally, I thought it was a relative of Asta's mother. However, a second reading of this chapter made me doubt that even more, because Asta doesn't use magic, but when you look at the fact that Alan was using magic in the way that Alan used his sword and his expressions and his mannerisms, and the relationship with Zenin made me pause yet again. And if you look at the fist bump, it's very similar to the same fist bump that Asta and Yuno did in the very first chapter of Black Clover. From a writing perspective, this is something that could work if this is the route that the story is going, and if this is something that is revealed. Zenin and Alan mirror Asta and Yuno very closely. Asta's adopted brother had a connection to his mother. Yuno has a twisted connection to Zenin due to the Dark Triad killing his family, and Yuno is like a brother to Asta. Zenin has a connection to Alan, who could be Asta's father. Narratively, it's a very, very rich payoff, and it is something that could work emotionally. This arc is more than just the arc of Yuno returning to his birthplace to confront the terrors of his past, the past that Yuno never knew existed up until then. It's more than just going to rescue Yami, who fell at the hands of Dante. It's more than rescuing William Vengeance, but this is also an arc about Asta. In fact, this entire arc could be argued to be an arc solely about Asta. Just as Yuno is learning more about who he was and where he came from, Asta has been getting information revealed about him to the readers that fill in quite a few blanks for the character Asta. It's a form of dramatic irony where we as readers know more about Asta's past than Asta knows himself. Asta and Libe represent the life that Asta's mom would have wanted for them. Both of her children working side by side for the greater good, carving their own path forward and doing so in perfect harmony. Asta and Yuno represent what Alan and Zenin could have been. Rivals, no, brothers who pushed each other regardless of the circumstances towards a level of greatness. The loss of Alan pushed Zen into becoming a devil host. That despair brought terror and hopelessness to this world. Asta and Yuno still have one another, and thematically it can represent the road that was never taken. Purely from a thematic perspective, this makes quite a bit of sense narratively, and I would not be upset if this was the case. As we get closer to the inevitable end of Black Clover, the journey of Asta and Yuno feels like now more than ever, like it's something that's interconnected, like it's something that's connected by fate. One the son of a king, and the other the aspiring wizard king. Should this truly be Asta's father, this new character named Alan, then it opens up the door for something truly remarkable to happen from a storytelling perspective. Too often we hear about characters bringing peace to their respective worlds, and it can be argued this peace wasn't realistically earned. It can be argued that this peace was not realistic or sustainable. But with Asta having good relationships that were formed over time with Lord Pesca, the Queen of the Heart Kingdom, Mars from the Diamond Kingdom, and now potentially Yuno if he becomes the King of the Spade Kingdom, Asta can be the boy who unifies the continent, which would be very ironic when you consider Asta's story. The boy who was born without magic, brought together in harmony, an entire continent that was fueled and run by magic. However, that's gonna be it for this video today, guys. So I want to know from you, how do you feel about this character, Alan? Do you think that he's Asta's father, or was this merely a design coincidence? Does this new information change your opinion about Zenin as well? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.